Hi, my name is Dr. Anthony Cheeseborough, and I'm your professor for 111C. And this is an introductory video just to let you know what we're doing in class. Uh, this information will also be reinforced on the syllabus. Now, 111C is a class that deals with the rise of the West. Now, when I say the West, I'm referring to Western Europe, and I'm also referring to the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, for much of that time, South Africa. These were countries that either had majority European populations or they were dominated by people of European extraction. Now, this class is going to be looking at history pretty much from about the last 500 or so years. We'll be looking a bit at the Renaissance and the Reformation, which is really important because that's a big dividing line from the Middle Ages, where we see society in the West becoming more interested in science, more secular, and where we see the church not completely dominating things the way it did during the medieval period. Now, also, we're going to go through the scientific revolution, which is very important because this lays the foundation for modern technological society. And from that point, we'll be going onward, looking at expansion outside of Europe. As I mentioned before, when I define the West, I'm not just talking about Europe. I'm talking about the Americas. I'm talking about Australia. I'm talking about other places where people from Europe went on to become dominant. And so the period of expansion happens during this time too. Now, another really major factor is the French Revolution. Now, the French Revolution is a huge turning point because this is where you see the development of modern nationalism, and you see the development an accelerated development of nation states. Now, there were nation states before the French Revolution, but the primacy of nationalism and nation states really becomes foremost after the French Revolution. Now, from that period, we'll be going into the 19th century. And like I say, once more, we'll see more nation state development. We'll see an increase in colonization. And then, of course, we get to the 20th century, we get to World War I, which is a really important thing because it shows the limits of Western power. And also, we see the emergence of anti-colonial movements, and we see the development of the Soviet Union, a Marxist state that really challenges some of the basic assumptions that had become very common in the West at that time. From that, we will go into the Great Depression. We'll go into World War II. The Great Depression is really important because it really brings a crisis in confidence in capitalism. World War II is really important because it really puts the nail in the coffin for a lot of the old European systems. It really forces people in the West to begin to deal with the notions of racism and its impact, because Hitler did in Europe what a lot of other countries had done overseas. I mean, and it really forced people in the West to have to deal with those ideas. And of course, we go into the Cold War, and then this is always the part that's a little bit tricky. The closer, one of the things that I found out as a historian is that the closer you get to the present times, the more information you have. You're dealing with stuff that's within living memory, and it gets a little bit harder to trim down things. And so the course will probably slow down a little bit once we get around about 1980 or so, because we're getting much more to the current day. And a lot of the issues being talked about will still be talked about. And so I'm going to try to get us up to around about 9/11. I'm trying to get us up to there, which, that's 2001. Now, whether I'm successful or not, I don't know. We may end up stopping a little bit earlier. We may end up stopping in the 90s. Now, as far as the class is concerned, this is a asynchronous class, so there's not any combined classwork or discussion. The assignments will be 4 exams. Now, the exams will all be essay exams. You'll get about 2 or 3 essay questions, and I'll expect you to. You might get 4 essay questions. I'll expect you to answer 2, and I'll expect you to give me answers that are at least 4 paragraphs per answer. That's the minimum. You can write more if you want to, because the way my tests are going to work, the test is going to have a start date, and you'll have several days to finish it. And so, since you have a few days to finish it, I really don't want you to give me test papers that look like you wrote them in 15 minutes, because you're going to have you're always going to have a minimum 48 hours to finish a test. And so, therefore, it should look like you took some time to write and put things together. Now, as far as makeup work is concerned, I tend to be very lenient with that. If you can give me anything like an excuse, I'll probably work with you. Now, I usually allow folks to drop a test. And so if something comes up and you can't take it, and you like, for instance, if you're in the National Guard, if there's a funeral or something, and you can't be there, you're not available to take tests at that time, I will usually drop a test. And so, I'll drop a test for you. And but it's only going to be one. Now, after that, you have to look into making things up. Well, anyway, class, I'll be giving you more content later today. But I just wanted to put this video out for you all to know what you're working on. Now, I had posted an announcement earlier telling you what to read, so keep reading that. And I'll have a lot more for you today and tomorrow. Take care.